Someone can hear me? I'm hoping so.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can.
So very quickly, this is Epic Kitchens, which started nearly 3 years ago with an actual data collection, followed by asking people to record data in their actual kitchens, a live narration approach from the participants themselves, from which we annotated dense action segments and dense active object bounding boxes. There are 3 challenges currently on the Coda Lab, for which today we're announcing the second set of winners. And for people who are not very familiar with the details, because we will be mentioning seen and unseen kitchens, there is a data set. The test set is split into 2 subsets. One is called the seen test set, where the kitchen had been seen during training, and one is an unseen subset for 4 kitchens that have not been visible during the training set. So what happened over the past year? If you remember, we released the dataset exactly on the 10th of April, 2018. Since then, we have around 23,000 views and uses of our annotation and website, and we're very glad that there is a bigger distribution of countries around the world this year compared to last year. There are still, let's say, the usual suspects in terms of countries, but there is an increase in the visibility and usability of the dataset. Last year in Long Beach, we could physically meet and award the winners the first set of awards on this challenge. And if you want to know the winners of last year, please go back to the technical report. However, directly after we finished last year, we realized that the Coda Lab had crashed for all participants on all Coda Lab competitions. We had to reset things again. So if you go to the Coda Lab and look at the number of submissions, these are only the ones that are relevant to this year because of this Coda Lab crash. And Will has been kindly following all the current year submission, copying them over to ensure we don't fall into the same trap. So at least this year we know that we have everything that you've submitted saved. I'll start by talking about the Action Recognition Challenge. And even though this is a big team effort, I particularly want to acknowledge the effort of Will and Vangelis on this particular challenge. Will has been very supportive for everyone who's asked questions, also providing code that you can use to use the challenge. And Vangelis has reviewed all your technical reports. So special thanks to them. And this was the challenge premise. We start from a trimmed action segment given to you both in training and testing. And people were supposed to select from a predefined set of actions, verbs and nouns to give us the action that occurs within this trimmed segment. The segments are overlapping, so you need to decide for that particular start and end time what action took place. This year, we have 46 teams that have been competing, 368 submissions. On average, people had 16 submissions. We have a max of 100 submissions. However, the max had been within this round of 50 submissions. And if you look at the progress over the days of the submission, you'll realize that it's the typical. So there is a fierce competition at the very end in terms of number of submissions and these sneaky little improvements on the final top 1 performance. Looking across nouns and verbs, what we saw this year is very similar to what we saw last year, and that is unseen nouns. So recognizing objects in unseen kitchens for action recognition has the biggest drop in performance, while unseen verbs seem to be performing fairly okay. The unseen nouns is particular something that we need to pay attention to for the different submissions. The second challenge that's open on the leaderboard is action anticipation, and I want to acknowledge Antonino's effort on this one in particular, where in this challenge, people were given the start and end time. However, they were supposed to leave a particular anticipation time and check any level of past observed time to anticipate the action, where the anticipation time is fixed to 1 second. In this challenge, we had 20 teams, 244 submissions, 10 on average. Again, we have a similar kind of trend between the seen and the unseen. However, there is a wider distribution in the submissions between the verb and the nouns and the verb and the unseen nouns. So there seems to be techniques that are doing different things for different approaches. The final challenge, which we're happy and proud to say we have the first set of winners of this challenge, because last year we had no submissions. And Hazel in particular is very pleased. Last year, I think she was very disappointed having set up the challenge not to have winners or competitors. So I want to acknowledge Hazel and Jin on this one in particular. And the challenge is related to detecting objects in an image. However, we have a video, so you have the same object appearing over several images, making it slightly different than a typical object detection challenge. The challenge is really difficult because of the number of classes. So we have over 300 noun classes. And in the PAMI paper, which we recently revealed, you'll find more information about the sizes of objects and things that were not present in the previous ECCV version of the paper. So if you want to know how we perform, how the training and the testing performs for small and large objects, look at the PAMI paper. We're very pleased that we have 16 teams that competed on this challenge, 180 submissions, and we were able to award 3 top prizes. Interestingly, we don't see a difference between the seen and the unseen on the object detection. So something that performs 40% on the seen objects is performing roughly 40% on the unseen. And that might be something we already know in action recognition. Because we don't have very good pre-training, we can't benefit from the same techniques that object detections benefit from pre-training on ImageNet or on COCO. And similarly, we have the typical trend towards the end of the challenge where people are competing. This is very, very rough and quick in terms of the awards. And what we are going to do next is to ask each team, as their name appears, to basically switch on their cameras, and you're very welcome to either use the reaction to upload the teams as they receive their prizes. We're trying to make this as close as possible to an award ceremony, and the winners will be announced in the order of action recognition, then action anticipation, and then object detection. So the teams basically know where they are in the order. And let's start this, fingers crossed, see how it will work. And I will start by asking the first set of winners on the first place in action recognition, both in seen and unseen kitchens. The winners are the same as last year's winners from University of Technology Sydney and Beidou. And I believe we have at least one member of the team here. If I can ask you to start your camera. I'm hoping someone still hears me.
Yes.
Okay. So I believe we have Xiaohan with us. I hope this was not very quick. Hey, so this is the winner of the first set of challenges. Congratulations on winning again. And we will be able to hear the talk from this team on how they again managed to win the challenge a second time later in the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The second prize on action recognition, winning of the second place in the seen kitchens and third place in the unseen kitchens, is the team from the University of Bonn and the National University of Singapore.
Hey, can you hear me? Or
we can hear you. If you can switch on your camera. Fadima will be able to tell you later in the presentation about both. Okay. I think there is a bit of a delay here with people switching on cameras, about both her work for action recognition as well as action anticipation. Fadima, would you like to switch on your screen?
Don't you see my camera? No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can see you here. So this is the second. Yeah, exactly. We kind of suggested that people will be able to also present their prize in person. See if I can make this any bigger. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Next, we have the team from Georgia Institute of Technology and University of Wisconsin-Madison. And we have Miao Liu with us to receive the prize. This received the second place award on the unseen kitchens and the fourth place award on the seen kitchens. And Miao is with us also with his certificate.
Yeah,
Congratulations again, and we will be able to hear from this team later after the award ceremony. In the third place in action recognition, we have a tie. So the third place goes to two different teams, and the first of these teams is FBK HUPBA, again second year competing and getting out of the top 10. And we have, I believe, multiple members of the team here. Yeah, Sergio is here with his prize.
Congratulations. Hi, Iman.
Yeah. And Swatrika also is with us, and Lance. There isn't a good way of getting only the team. Oh, okay. Thank you very much and congratulations. Thanks for your support during 2 rounds of competitions in the Action Recognition Challenge. Also tied in the third place on the Scene Kitchens is a new team participating with us from Samsung Cambridge.
Hi.
And I believe we have, yeah, we have Victor with us. We also have Juan with us to receive the prize. They received, again, the joint third place award on the Scene Kitchen benchmark of action recognition. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you very much. The technical teams will be available for all the action recognition challenge. Moving from action recognition to action anticipation. And the first award goes again to the team from the University of Bonn and the National University of Singapore. Well done again. And it is one method that they had proposed that was able to achieve top 3 performance in both leaderboards. Well done, first place here on the Scene Kitchen Action Anticipation. Thanks, Fatima. Second place in Action Anticipation, actually the first place on the unseen, second place on the scene, goes to the team from the University of Maryland. I believe Edom is with us. Aha, here we have it. And we will be able to hear more about his presentation after the awards. And in the third place on action anticipation, second place award on both seen and the unseen is the team from Singapore, from A-Star Singapore. And I believe we have multiple people from the team here to receive the award. Yeah. Oh, great. Congratulations. And thank you very much. We will hear from this team later. Finally, in the object detection, first place goes to Hutum from South Korea.
Hi,
Hi, Jihun.
can you hear me?
Oh, wow. We have a team all
Wow.
together. Oh, that's so nice to know that people are able to meet in person somewhere around the world. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, and we will be able to hear your method later. In the second place is the team from Facebook AI by Gedas and Lorenzo Torizani. And here they are. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
And finally, for object detection, second place on seen and third place on unseen is the team from the Hari, the Charging Tao Technology Company. And I believe Kaidi is with us.
Hello.
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 Yeah, here we are. Oh, a vertical screen. Thank you very much. Congratulations, and we'll be able to hear this talk later. I believe we're just ahead of time, so we will proceed immediately into the winner talks. And the first talk is with action recognition, the winners from University of Technology Sydney and Baidu Research. You can share your screen and proceed with your talk.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Xiaohan Wang from University of Technology, Sydney. I'm glad to introduce our solution to the action recognition challenge. In this task, we aim to process the input eccentric video clip and predict the verb class, noun class, and the action class. Compared to third-person videos, egocentric videos focus on the interacting object. Therefore, egocentric action recognition requires more accurate interaction reasoning and fine-grained understanding. In application dataset, the objects are small and various, so it is challenging to identify the interacting object. The main difficulty for the verb classification are large camera motion and the confusing occurring action locations. It is hard to distinguish the complex interactions without any guidance. To address these problems, we first introduced an object-centric feature alignment method. We utilize object detection model to provide more local details and guidance. Given a video segment, we developed 3 base models to extract features. VerbNet and NounNet are 3D CNNs pre-trained with verb label and noun label respectively. For the noun branch, we use global alignment. The noun features and the detection features are complementary to each other. In this global alignment, we concatenate each detection feature with the global noun feature. The generated feature incorporate both local relevant features and the global context. For verb branch, we developed a local alignment method. We extract regional verb features from the verb branch by pulling from the spatial feature map with the given candidate spatial location. The regional motion feature is then combined with the corresponding detection feature. In this way, the most relevant verb features will be generated and the background motion noise can be suppressed. After getting the object-centric features, we further propose a symbiotic attention module to enable the mutual communication between the 2 branches and find the most useful information. The fused features are first normalized by a cross-stream gating mechanism. This normalization process underlines the action-relevant information from the feature in the other branch. After this, we leverage an action-attended relation module to further catalyze the communication between the 2 branches. Most action-relevant information is identified to generate a discriminative feature for final classification. We call the entire communication module as symbiotic attention with object-centric alignment. The object detection feature offers detailed local understanding, and our symbiotic attention enables mutual interactions and meticulous reasoning. In our previous work SAP, we use global alignment for both verb and noun branch. Here we show the ablations on the validation set. The local alignment for verb branch can improve the performance over the SAP. And the results demonstrate the effectiveness of our symbiotic attention. For the challenge, we trained 6 models with different backbones and input modality. We show the result on the validation set. On the test scene set and unseen set, our single model, SOA ISND2 stream, achieves the state of the art compared to the published works. Our ensemble is ranked first on both seen keychains and unseen keychains. IG indicates the model pre-trained on a large-scale dataset, IG kinetics. Our ensemble without this model can achieve first place on seen set and third place on unseen set. So this model is especially benefits the unseen non-recognition. Here we show some qualitative results on the applications. Our SAP module correctly finds the interactive area with parsley and generates a high value. In conclusion, we introduced an object-centric alignment method and symbiotic attention mechanism. You can find more details in our paper, and the code will be available soon at my GitHub page. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Based on the schedule, we'll move. Thank you. We have space for questions at the end, so please ask the questions. Next on our timetable is the team from Georgia Tech, second presentation on action recognition.
Yeah. So sorry, I need 1 minute to set up this thing.
Okay. I want to thank everyone for kind of going along with us on this. Please hold your phone with the certificate. We really wanted it to be some sort of a way to get the prizes in person and to thank you for your participation. So special thanks to all the teams who read our long detailed emails of how we want to proceed with the award ceremony. We have 3 presentations on action recognition. The last one is a combination of recognition and anticipation. Right, did we? Oh, we lost the speaker. Mia, are you still with us?
Yes, yes, I'm back.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry for the delay. Hi, everyone. My name is Mia Liu. I'm from Georgia Tech. Today, I'm going to introduce our entry on the action recognition challenge. I'm also going to present some of our recent works on attention and action in first-person video. So our entry, the starting point of our entry is our previous work on Georgia Tech GAZE class dataset. The benefits of our dataset is that we have abundant signals of attention and action. We have 14,000 hand mask annotation and frame level GAZE tracking data. Therefore, our dataset is an ideal vehicle to study the connection between attention and action. So we actually present a joint model for learning gaze and actions. So in this presentation, I'm going to show how we adapt this model to the IP acquisition challenge, where the gaze information is not available. So the key idea of our model is to learn a latent attention distribution from gaze prior. So this is done by attaching a variational encoder into the deep model. The motivation is that the gaze environments are very noisy, and we need some kind of differentiable sampling mechanism to account for this uncertainty. So in this way, we actually use the variational learning to refactorize the joint learning. So therefore, we have the following empirical lower bound, so which has 2 terms. The first term is just standard classification laws. And let's take a closer look at the second term. So the second term is the Kerr divergence, which matches the gaze prior to the latent attention distribution. So what should we do when gaze prior is not available, which is the case for IP acquisition? So our recent work shows that simply replacing this gaze prior with a naive prior like uniform distribution can still result in good performance. So to better investigate this uniform prior distribution, we conduct an ablation study on our Georgia Tech dataset. So look at this yellow bar is the S3D baseline results, and the dark blue bar is a VAE model using uniform distribution as prior, and it leads to 0.8 performance improvement. When further using this gaze prior to learn the latent attention distribution, the performance can be further improved another 0.7%. So when competing on the IP acquisition challenge, we attach our model with a stronger CSN 152 backbone network. So as we can see, we achieved 2nd place on the unseen test. We have to emphasize that our model only perceives RGB frames as inputs. That being said, we don't have access to any set information like optical flow or object feature. So Going beyond action recognition, we also, in our latest work, we also address this challenging task of action anticipation. Specifically, we consider motor attention. We consider human intentional movement as motor attention. So therefore, our model jointly predicts future hand movement, interaction health spells, and future action labels. So here are some quantitative results on application datasets. So our model works on par with last year's best result RULSTM. When using the same object stream as RULSTM, our model can further improve the performance by a significant margin. So here are some visualizations for qualitative results. As we can see, our model can vividly imagine the future hand movement, even without observe the presence of hand. It can also localize the interaction region. So, but the model tends to fail when the future object is not observable. In this case, the last observable frame doesn't have the door, and the model tends to fail. So here are some conclusions. First, we show that this latent attention can facilitate the learning even without using gates prior. And the resulting model actually wins the second place on Anson test set using a single stream network. Also, we show that motor attention plays an important role in visual understanding. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Fatima presenting both their combined top 3 winning on both recognition and anticipation.
Hey, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can and hear you. Thank you.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. I am Fadime, and now I'll present our work with Deepika Sanghania and Angela Yao. We submitted our results for Epic Kitchens anticipation and recognition challenges, and we got competitive performances. Our work's title is Temporal Aggregate Representations for Long-Term Video Understanding, and you can find our paper in archive. We designed our model to tackle long-term video understanding and specifically worked on action anticipation. Future prediction requires reasoning from current and past observations and raises several fundamental questions like how should temporal relationships be modeled, what temporal extent of context needs to be processed, and at what temporal scale should they be derived. We address these questions with a multi-granular temporal aggregation framework. Here we present an overview of our model and our model components, which we built in a bottom-up manner. We begin by introducing our representations, which are inputs to the building blocks of our framework. We split video streams into snippets of equal length and max pool the frame features within the snippets. Based on different start and end frames and the number of snippets, we define 2 types of snippet features. Spanning features, S, are drawn from the entire or long-term video, and recent features, R, are drawn from recent observations. To represent the recent and spanning past at various granularities, we pool snippets over multiple scales. For spanning snippets, the start and end points are fixed and the number of snippets changes. For recent snippets, the end points and the number of snippets are fixed and only the starting points change. Here in this figure, we show an example model with 2 recent starting points and 3 spanning scales. One of our main components is our coupling blocks, which relate recent observations to long-term past. We apply non-local operations to capture relationships between spanning and recent snippets. Using non-local blocks, NLB, we define attention-related spanning and recent outputs in our coupling blocks. The final representation for the recent and spanning past is computed by aggregating outputs from multiple coupling blocks in our temporal aggregation blocks, TABs. Each recent snippet here is coupled with all the spanning snippets in a tab, and tabs output a multi-granular video representation that encodes both the recent and long-term past. We name these temporal aggregate representations. Temporal aggregate representations are generic and can be applied to various video understanding tasks. Here we show outputs of different tabs chained together for next action anticipation. And for action recognition, we only make changes in the representations. Basically, we adjust the scope of our spanning and recent snippets according to the action start and end times. In our model, we use appearance, motion, and object-based features provided by Furnari and Farinella. We train our models separately on these modalities for action recognition or action anticipation, not separately for verbs and nouns, and then at the end use voting for the final scores. We rank first for seen and third for unseen kitchens for action anticipation. And we rank second for seen and third for unseen kitchens for action recognition. So in our work, we present a multi-scale temporal aggregates framework for long-term videos by relating the recent observations to the long-term context. And our representations are generic and can be applied in various video understanding tasks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fatima. Next on action anticipation is a team from the University of Maryland. Giovanni is suggesting that I ask all the winners to stay until the Q&A, after the Q&A, to take a combined Zoom image from everyone. So hang on after the Q&A as well. We see the screen. I don't think we can hear you as yet. Hello. Right. Yeah, we can see you. I don't think we can hear you. Right, shall we switch the order to ensure that Edom gets the time to set up and figure out his audio? In the interest of time, we're just gonna switch the anticipation tasks and then ask the team from A-Star Singapore, and then Edom might be able to switch out and in the Zoom in the meanwhile. So can I ask the team from A-Star Singapore?
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you. Can you share your screen? We'll go back to the University of Maryland presentation after this.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. So let me start. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Meiji. We are Team VII2R from A-Star Singapore. Our team is led by Sun Ying, with team members Chen Yi, myself, Hui Li, and Kenan. Our work for this challenge is built upon the RULSTM framework by Antonino and Giovanni. We investigated and proposed improvement based on these 4 different aspects. First, we look at the enhancements of feature representation, then the additional hand mask modality, and incorporation of past action prediction, and finally, we employ model ensemble approach. The rolling and unrolling LSTM consists of 2 LSTMs. The rolling part is to encode what happened in the past, while the unrolling part is to predict the action anticipation. This figure shows an overview of our framework. From here, we can see there are 4 input modalities: RGB, flow, object, and hand mask. The prediction scores from each of the modality will then be fused with an attention fusion to obtain the final prediction. Now, first we look at the feature representation. For RGB and flow, we extract features using pre-trained TRN and TSN on epic kitchens for action recognition tasks. Then for object representation, we train our own faster RCNN model on many short objects. Then we take the maximum fusion of the original scores and many short object scores for all the classes. Then we propose to include an additional hand mask modality to draw attention to the active action and object. So we train an encoder-decoder network on the extended GT-GACE Plus dataset for hand mask segmentation. After that, we apply dilation and Gaussian filtering to obtain an attended hand and contextual regions that looks like the mask RGB here. Next, we look at network level improvement by incorporating past action prediction. We modify the network for multitask classification such that it can jointly predict both past and future action classes that looks like this figure. We design each modality to learn different labels, where the RGB is to predict past action, flow for past verb prediction, and noun for past and object for past noun prediction. Finally, we employ model ensemble approach, where we generate 5 training validation states from the training data set, and then we take the average scores from each of the 5 models for testing. And on top of that, we also select 2 models of different features and networks for ensemble for our leaderboard submission. Here we show our experimental results with our top 5 action accuracy on the validation set. The first table shows the RGB and flow extracted using PSN, multiscale TRN, and PSM. And the fusion scores here consist of the RGB, flow, and then the original object. And you can see that MTRN performed best among the 3 of them. Then we select the MTRN, RGB, and flow to combine with our own maximum fusion object and also additional hand mask modality. And we can see that there is a significant performance boost as compared to the baseline, which is about a 6% of increment. Then we have the past action predictions. We also extract the features using the same feature extractor. And then we can see there is a slight improvement over all the 3 models as compared to the original network. So after this, we select 4 models for our model ensemble, 1 from the baseline and 3 from our proposed improvement models. Finally, this is our test scores of our model ensemble. We can see that there are different pairings of the models and also ensemble method using averaging or ranking. And by looking at the top 1 accuracy, you can see that pairing of model A and B with ranking method achieve overall best performance. And with the submission of this model ensemble, we achieve the 2nd place on the leaderboard for both seen and unseen features. With that, I would like to conclude my presentation today. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. We'll attempt to go back to Edam and the University of Maryland.
Hello, can you guys hear me now?
We can, certainly. Go for it.
Perfect. Thank you. So, hi everybody, my name is Adam Desalane, and I'm presenting our work on egocentric object manipulation graphs for the Epic Kitchens Action Anticipation Challenge. Michael Chinmaya and I are PhD students at the University of Maryland, and Cornelia and Giannis are the advisors behind this project. A preprint of our approach can be found at the bottom of the title page here. All code will be made publicly available. The task of action anticipation is to classify future actions from observations that precede the start of the action by a set anticipation time. In the Epic Kitchens Action Anticipation Challenge, the anticipation time is set to 1 second. Many video architectures focus on the modeling of short-term dynamics and visual appearance. Semantic relations in time are also important. We focus on this in Ego-OMG. We propose the structuring of long sequences of video activity into temporally discretized sequences of states. Each state is delineated by contact events, where contact is created or broken between hands and objects. Our state representation is hand-centric, as hands are the central driving force of human actions and are more visible under the egocentric perspective. We extract for each frame localized predictions of the objects and of the objects of anticipated future interaction. The mosaic to the right shows hand touching objects in the scene and the predicted localized contacts. We classify each of the localized predictions, converting input videos belonging to the Epic Kitchens dataset into sequential directed graphs of hand-object interaction as shown in the slide, with videos to the left and their incomplete graph equivalent for clarity purposes, their graph equivalents to the right. The graphs show the videos represented as process sequences of hand-object interaction. Taking the top row as an example, in the video, somebody's unraveling a trash bag, taking about 20 seconds to do so. The only object involved is the trash bag, and so the states alternate between different forms of contact when holding it. As you can see, many of the videos are very long, yet very simple, making graphs the optimal choice of representation for capturing the underlying temporal semantics, as end-to-end video architectures typically suffer in modeling videos of this length. We compute a diverse consolidated graph over the entire Epic Kitchens dataset, embedding each node through the use of graph convolutions. For the challenge, we utilized a two-stream architecture, where one stream anticipated the next action using a sequence of node embeddings, and another stream anticipated the next action with a channel-separated network, a variant of a standard I3D action classifier. We perform a late fusion of the two streams to obtain our results. Note our approach is complementary to existing approaches. Our CSN model can easily be replaced with an alternative video architecture. There are many future extensions of our proposed graph representation. The graphs can be improved with better methods of construction. So, did my screen go out?
Yes, I think you want to go back.
Let me. Okay, I'll just leave it there. So, you know, if, the graphs can be improved with better methods of construction.
Probably timed. Yeah, just keep it on this screen. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. For example, we can enrich the state representation by modeling not only all objects inside the hands, but incorporating objects on all surfaces or compartments of the environment, and impose priors forcing objects that make or break contact with the hands to be constrained to only transfer between hands and environmental surfaces, rather than let objects disappear. We also hope to apply Ego-OMG to other applications such as activity prediction and weakly supervised action labeling. It is also of great relevance to robotics. For one, the availability of depth allows better modeling of contacts from RGBD video. The graph constructed from the Epic Kitchens dataset can also be directly transferred to applications in robotics, avoiding the need to retrain video models for tasks in action understanding. All code will be made publicly available. And that's the end of this talk. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much. I hope everybody's catching up with the speed. We finished the presentations from action anticipation. Next, we move to the presentations on object detection. Please put your questions in the Q&A, and we start with the team from Hutto for the first of two talks on object detection in video. Are you able to share your screen?
Can we do it later after setting?
Do you need time to set up?
Sorry.
Okay, right. If there is an issue with the setup, we'll come back to this team after the last talk. So we have one more talk that's from Facebook AI. Gidas, I hope you're able to share the screen.
Can you see my slides?
We can, definitely.
Okay, so I'm Gidas Bortasis from Facebook AI, and I will now present our entry to the Epic Kitchens Object Detection Challenge called Exploiting Long-Range Temporal Cues for Object Detection in Egocentric Video, which is a joint work with Lorenzo Torresani. So in the last few years, there's been a remarkable progress on object detection in images. However, these image-level models are not typically designed to handle motion blur and object occlusions, which are quite common in an egocentric setting. Consider an example depicted in the slide, for which our goal is to detect an active object in frame T. If we're only allowed to look at frame T, this task becomes almost impossible because the active object in this case is very blurry and heavily occluded. However, if we can also look at the neighboring frames, the detection task becomes much easier because the active object, which in this case is a spoon, is much more clearly visible in those frames. And so this example illustrates that leveraging long-range temporal cues can be highly beneficial for object detection in egocentric videos. So with this motivation in mind, we now present our approach to the detection challenge. And specifically, we adapt a video instant segmentation framework from our this year's CVPR paper to the problem of object detection in egocentric videos. So our video instant segmentation system called MaskProp is designed to not only detect object instances in videos, but also to track them over an entire video sequence. And the tracking is implemented using temporal feature warping, which allows us to learn temporal object correspondences across different frames. However, in this case, we don't want to solve for video instant segmentation, but we want to improve object detection in egocentric videos. And we do so by simply reversing the warping direction used in the original mask prop system. So in this case, given a particular video frame, we want to warp useful features from other neighboring frames such that object detection accuracy in that given video frame is maximized. So in this specific case, we would want to warp useful features from frames A and C to frame B such that we could detect an active object in frame B better. And then all these temporally warped features can be aggregated into a single feature tensor, which can then be used to localize and detect an object. And such a temporal feature aggregation procedure pretty much allows our model to be much more robust to object occlusion and motion blur in individual frames. And as for the temporal feature warping, it is implemented using a deformable convolution, which takes two inputs, the sampling offsets predicted by our model and the provided feature tensor that needs to be warped from one frame into another. And then the deformable convolution warps that feature tensor according to the predicted offsets. And so naturally, in order for this to be successful, our model needs to learn sampling offsets that capture motion between object instances in different frames. And we point out that our model can do so successfully without using any explicit ground truth, optical flow, or any other sort of alignment supervision. Basically learns these offsets implicitly just by being optimized with respect to object detection task. And so now if we look at our quantitative results, here we simply want to verify that leveraging these long-range temporal cues is indeed beneficial for this task. So we compare our system's performance when we only use a single frame for detection versus when we use 23 frames. And we can see that this temporal feature aggregation scheme where we warp information from 23 different frames allows us to significantly boost our system's detection accuracy, which clearly indicates that these long-range temporal cues are indeed beneficial for this task. Yeah, so that's it, and I'd be happy to answer any questions at the end of the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very exciting work. And we'll have another presentation from object detection before we take your questions. I hope that the team from Hutum are able now to share their screen.
Can you see my screen?
It says you have started sharing. It's probably an ongoing process as yet.
Okay. So
is there another button? Yeah, I think now we can see something.
my screen now?
We can definitely go for it.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Ji-Hun Yoon from Hutum. I'm going to give you a presentation about semi-supervised object detection with sparsely annotated datasets, which our team proposed to solve the object detection problem in Epic-Kitchen's challenges. The goal of object detection challenge in Epic-Kitchen's dataset is detecting all object classes mentioned in action segments. Training annotations only capture the active objects pre, during, and post interaction between people and objects. And performance of a detector is evaluated in many and few shot class groups separately. Because the annotations only capture active objects in the videos are very sparsely annotated. As you can see in the figures on the right, a pen is annotated in the upper image with a solid line, but not in the lower image. It could be difficult to train anchor-based detector because the reason proposal networks learns objectness with intersection over union between reason proposers and ground truth bounding boxes. So that the pen in lower image could be learned as background during training. To tackle this problem, we use an anchor-less object detector and propose semi-supervised object detection with a single object tracker getting dense annotations. Fully convolutional one-stage object detector called FCOS had a similar structure with anchor-less one-stage object detector like Euler version 1, but in contrast with it, FCOS takes advantages of all points in a ground truth bounding box to predict the bounding box and uses centeredness to suppress low-quality detected bounding boxes, which is a problem of Euler version 1 with low record. FCOS was the state-of-the-art one-stage object detector last year. To get more annotations from the given sparsely annotated dataset, we track all objects in forward and backward in the videos and got only annotations corresponding to frames in the original object detection datasets. Because the frames in the given dataset were not consecutive to track objects, And we use SHA-mask tracker because it has good performance in both precision and inference speed. We also use a tracking termination condition that stops tracking when IOU between track objects in consecutive 2 frames is lower than a threshold. These examples show how our proposed algorithm gets pseudo-labels. You can see that in the leftmost frame in the original data annotations, there is no annotation for a caret, but it is obtained after backward tracking. Although these examples show only 2 class categories, other class categories will also be obtained from other given ground truth bounding boxes. We train faster RCNN and cascade RCNN for multi-stage object detectors and FCOS for one-stage object detectors. MM detection toolbox was used for training those detectors. As a result, FCOS performs better than other detectors, and FCOS trained with pseudo-labels performs better than the original dataset with the same backbone. And we also used an inhomogeneous backbone example, as each detector has a different view so that we could detect more precise objects with the ensemble. Due to a limitation of computing resources during the challenge, we only trained one detector with few pseudo-labels. It means there's more possibility of improving detectors' performance. Comparing anchor-based and anchorless detectors, loss graphs of anchorless detectors seem more stable. In these examples, you can also find that each different backbone detector looks at different objects in the same scenes. By the figure, it shows why inhomogeneous backbone ensemble performs well. To summarize, we found that FCOS works better than the sparsely annotated datasets than other anchor-based object detectors. To get pseudo-labels, bidirectional object tracking is used from the sparsely annotated datasets, and an inhomogeneous backbone ensemble is used to find more precise objects. As a result, our performance has been ranked in top in seen kitchens and second in unseen kitchens. Thank you for listening to our presentation.
Thank you very much, and I'm grateful to all the teams for sticking on time so that we can give everybody the opportunity to present their work. There is a bit of time for Q&A. Please stay around. We're gonna also, after the Q&A, tell you a little bit about the plans for next year's challenge, some dramatic changes for people who might not be aware of what we're releasing soon. So this is just another maximum 10 minutes of your time. Any questions from the attendees? I can see that Mike has a couple of questions, so maybe you can unmute.
So for Maya via I2R, how did you choose the pairings between the different modalities of RGB and objects, as well as the verb and nouns and actions? Was that done like just by choice or some other method?
So we pick for different features and different networks. So we have 4 models there. The baseline is using TSN, and the past action prediction also with TSN. And the other 2 models, B and C, is using improved features, MPRN, and also, the features of hand mask modality.
Okay, great, thanks.
So we pair the TSN and the MPRN like that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then for Adam at Maryland, how well does the graph cope with objects that change states? For example, if you can crack eggs, then the egg goes from a solid object to the kind of inside as well. How well does the method cope with that?
That's a good question. Very often when it comes to it, really depends on the object detector that we're relying on. So we use a faster RCNN to construct to classify the contact predictions. So we don't incorporate any explicit modeling of object state transitions.
Okay.
So I guess I have a question for Fatima and for the team on Action Bank. So because of this quantization, are you missing these very short actions because they're never quantized? Do they not matter in modeling, let's say, the past?
The thing is, we actually didn't do such a study, but might be interesting. So a performance investigation on the range of the actions. We didn't see any, but I think with this parameter selection on validation sets, we are somehow like adjusting to this data sets statistics.
Yeah, and maybe a question for Facebook, for Gidas is, so the motion blur, did you try to unblur or to kind of do anything to the motion blur to see that you can utilize neighboring images not to detect the object in them, but to figure out what the object looks like in the blurred images?
No, we didn't try. We kind of just wanted to design like this end-to-end solution to this problem that doesn't require any sort of pre-processing to the data, and just handles more cases than just motion blur. So maybe sometimes there's occlusions, or sometimes there's weird object poses. So our model sort of has to figure out all of these cases without us having to manually specify all of them. So we're just kind of letting it figure it out by itself, and apparently it works pretty well.
Yeah, great. I think the one thing that is interesting in today's talks is that there is a combination of ensembles and engineering effort, but also methods that look differently at the dataset, like Epic Kitchens. And I think I have a last question again to the team from Maryland. So do you does your method favor shorter videos because you can build complete graphs rather than segment the video into, I don't know, episodes or subsets?
We convert, so the method really favors sequences that are simpler, of simpler activity, so not necessarily shorter videos. We process like over 45 seconds of history. So it captures much of the ongoing activities.
Right. I think the question is, what's the link between simpler and short activity, right? Do they correspond or not? I think the word simpler. Yeah, if you finish something quickly, does it make it simpler by default?
True. Yes. There's some kinds of activities that are very difficult to capture, like in-hand manipulation, where objects are being constantly toyed around and are not visible from the from the camera for very long durations of time. Tend to make objects appear and disappear from the graph, despite not being transferred to a table or anything like that.
And the team from Georgia Tech, just a final question on the link between gaze and like predicted gaze or attention. I kind of didn't understand. Have you used your predicted gaze as it was trained from EGTA, and did that directly map into gaze of relevance to Epic Kitchens? I'm not sure if who's with us?
Not sure if he's.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's with us.
Yeah.
There will be an opportunity for you to ask more questions, and all these different technical reports will be with you very soon. But before we conclude and go into the poster session, Mike will be sharing with you a bit of news that some of you might have already seen.
Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So hello everyone, my name is Michael Ray and I'm one of the authors who worked on Epic Kitchens. And we have one more thing to say about next year's challenges. But first, I would like to thank everyone who submitted to any of the Epic Kitchens challenges, as well as our challenge winners here today for coming along and presenting interesting talks about their methods, as well as answering all of our questions. So 2 years ago, we released the Epic Kitchens dataset. At the time, it was the largest egocentric video dataset. We were amazed at how quickly Epic Kitchens became popular with published works using the dataset within only a month of its release. Since then, Epic Kitchens has seen a large uptake by researchers all around the world. Today, we have seen methods further pushing the state of the art of egocentric computer vision from the 3 challenges that have run for a second year in a row, and we're excited for the next step. We are proud to announce Epic Kitchens 100, an extension of the original Epic Kitchens dataset collected 2 years later. Epic Kitchens 100 is bigger, with 100 hours of video still annotated via open vocabulary narrations. We now have 700 different videos, all representing real-world unscripted scenarios. And finally, we have 90,000 action segments, signifying an increase of more than 2 times over the original dataset. Epic Kitchens 100 is better. When starting the collection as a team, we looked out over the entire pipeline we had used previously and rebuilt it from the ground up, ensuring that fewer actions would be missed and improving the quality of both the new annotations and the old annotations even further. And finally, Epic Kitchens 100 is challenging. Collected 2 years later, we have an opportunity to test how well state-of-the-art models can stand the test of time. And upon its release, Epic Kitchens 100 will have 6 challenges, including a retrieval-based challenge and an unsupervised domain adaptation challenge. We're excited to bring you the Epic Kitchens 100, and as part of its release on the 1st of July, we are holding a live webinar at 4 p.m. BST, which will see the members of the Epic Kitchens team present the various aspects of its collection in detail, as well as a live Q&A session. You can sign up to watch the live webinar on our website, as well as find out more details of Epic Kitchens 100. We hope to see you there.
Thank you very much. We're running slightly behind time for Hazel and the poster. I will allow her to kind of explain the posters thing, but please, I would ask all the winners to just stay with us a little bit to take a shared winners Zoom picture just after Hazel's announcement.
Yeah, so the poster session is going to happen on the CVPR website. So we have some exciting posters there. They all have like a Zoom room, so you can jump in and chat to the author themselves. I'll post the link in chat in just a second. So that'll be an hour. After that, we have a keynote from Yuichi Sato and a discussion on the future directions of egocentric vision. And I'll also post the link to that Zoom link in the chat here.
Right, I'll just ask all the participants to switch on their cameras. Let's see all of us again in like one big gallery.
Hello.
I'm not sure how to close this chat. Okay. Right. So I think I can see as many of us as plausible.
Hi, Dima.
Hello.
There is information shows the instructor unmute the camera of mine.
Who should I unmute? If you give me any name, I can unmute people. I think I'm looking at the list. I kind of see everyone on the panelists, the team from Baidu and
yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, we have 2 screens. Right, we don't even fit in one screen. Right, anyone has a better idea of how to fit all of us? I think we'll just I'll also say, Mike, Maya, you can also, all the team, you can.
Take 2. Take 2, yeah.
We just stick them.
We can take 2, that's true. Okay. Right, so Hazel, do you want to come aboard? I can see different
sorry.
people. Mike, Maya, last chance. You can hold your certificates if you want, or just smile. Big smiles. I'm gonna keep smiling because I need to take 2 different ones. Big smiles, happy people. We're really grateful for your participation, and I thank you for being part of the team, because this is not only us kind of building the data set, it's also you using it, and it makes all the effort in in planning and running it really worth it. Thank you very much for being here. I will group these into a nice big ensemble.
And see you later.
And we will, please stay around for the second half of the workshop to attend Yuichi's talk, and also to give a panel where we won't be as much rushed as we were here, so you can give us more input into the future directions of EPIC in general, EPIC kitchens, different data sets, and your own work. Walterio, we'll see you back.
Please join us. And we want to remind you that the posters are on the CVPR website. So please go there so that we use what the conference provided. And then we're back, as you must.
Thanks,
so,
everyone.
Thank you very much.
Good to see all of you.
Ciao, ciao.
May I ask who are the panelists?
Sorry?
So we have the organizers as part of the panel, but it's not closed. It's a panel that we want to open to the community. We want to hear what you're interested in and how can EPIC as a workshop and as the activity that we're building in terms of the EPIC kitchens and other data sets and also the Mechanical Turk initiative can help you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.